So in this segment, we're going to be talking about a member of the House of Lords who voted for Brexit and has really turned against Brexit very publicly. A huge U-turn from her, so some credit there. But some of the points she raises are a bit concerning in a sense.
Only sensible thing now is to actually cut our losses on this and rejoin the EU. There's a growing recognition that leaving the European Union has not delivered the benefits that we were promised. That the relationship should be as close as possible until the political circumstances are right for us to rejoin the EU. I say that as somebody who voted for Brexit, but what I've seen is the destruction by this government, and they are not delivering on all their promises. This bill is an attack on democracy here within Parliament. Rather than taking back control, the government is seeking to take away Parliament's sovereign power of voting for or against laws.
So she's talking about the, essentially the Brexit Deregulation Act and turning against it. And I think she was a Lexiter, so she talks about the dismantling of workers' rights here. I think, but the issue with, one of my issues with Lexiters is they want to be like Norway. Okay, fine, whatever. But, that was never going to happen when you look at the context of where the UK is politically on the spectrum, very different to where Norway is. The other problem is David Cameron was in charge at the time of the referendum. And there was very little chance of, I think, Corbyn beating, Cameron at the time. Or even, he struggled against Theresa May. He couldn't even beat Theresa May. I know there were some internal party problems, but May had her own problems within, the Conservative Party. And then he got slammed by Johnson. This idea that we could be like Norway if we voted for Brexit just wouldn't make sense because people didn't put the work into the UK, into educating people in this country about, the benefits of nationalisation. People in the UK don't like more government control, don't want more nationalisation because they've been conditioned against it. And that's one of the things that I think Lexiters failed to really understand.
And hands that power over to a chaotic executive of right-wing ministers and their civil servants. We've reached the slash and burn stage of Brexit cultism, which will certainly throw this country into a state of legal uncertainty. The electorate has not voted for this. It is not in the Tory party manifesto. Voters have never been asked about this approach that they want to take to retained EU law. It's not part of the oven-ready Brexit that we were promised, which was cooked up last year with a poison pill, which will mean the important decisions of which law to retain will have been made by the end of this year, before the general election, and then some other political party will have to pick up the mess and try to cope with the disaster.
So, if we break down what she said there, she's very right. It wasn't in the Tory party manifesto, which means the Lords have every right to try and block this bill. Absolutely, they can try and delay it as best as they can. And she's right that, it's being done in between elections. So it's being done without the consent from the last parliament, really, when you think about it, and without the consent of a new, from a new, fresh election. So what the Tories are trying to do is sneak this thing through as their last act of destruction, I think, of this country, because they don't think they're going to win the next election, let's be honest.
2,000 years ago, the Roman philosopher Cicero said, "The closer the collapse of an empire, the crazier its laws." And this is what we have here. There are families who are starving. There are people who are freezing in their homes. There are workers rightfully striking on the streets. And we are here debating this dross. Yeah. I don't know how the government can face us when they send us legislation like this.
Huge respect here from for Lexiter to kind of admit that they were wrong and to kind of see the damage that they've done. At least she hasn't doubled down on it like Lynch has. So, huge credit to her here. I think, she was wrong in 2016, but at least she's come around and realised it was a mistake. But yeah, we are in grave danger here with this EU deregulation bill, along with the other things the government is really planning. To slash and burn. She's right that the UK, I think, is it's not close to a financial collapse, but it is struggling very much so, and this is the government's way, I think, of causing mass chaos before they leave. And most likely it'll be the Labour Party to have to pick up the pieces, and we still don't know what's going to be deregulated. We still don't know what things they're looking to cut in terms of legislation at the end of this year. They haven't made clear what they're doing. They keep promising us things like workers' rights will be protected, paid holiday, things like that, but they haven't protected in legislation, which means it won't be protected. past a certain point, and it's pretty gnarly stuff, this bill. So credit where credit's due. She was wrong in 2016, but at least you can admit when you're wrong and try and fight against it now. And that's the main thing, is we try and stop the Tories as best we can. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.